All right, hello everyone. I can see some of you frantically rereading the love song of J. Alfred Prufrock. I thought we would take a break from all the crisis and war to talk about crisis in love. We haven't talked much about love this semester, so we'll do that today. What I'd like you to do now is just take your books and move to a different place in the room, like you did last class. How many of you had trouble with this poem, The Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock? Okay, thank you, thank you. T.S. Eliot can be difficult, can be challenging, because as we talked about the first class of this course, literature always refers back to itself, typically. So he's referring to a lot of older texts. You know, he begins with a stanza from the Divine Comedy, right? He's referring back, and Eliot was both American and British. Another reason I wanted us to talk about this poem is that Eliot supposedly wrote this poem while he was in college, right? He wrote this while he was at Harvard. There's some discrepancy about the timing of that, but that's often true with writers and what they report about their own work. He begins with this stanza, right? He studied Dante. Do any of you know about Dante and the Divine Comedy, roughly what that's about? Some of you? Do you want to talk about that?
I don't know enough.
Basic. Frank, do you want to help us?
Oh, yeah, so
Yeah.
So it's basically his touring of afterlife, and he
Yeah.
meets all these. Well, I read the Inferno, so I read a part of it, but it's his touring, going through the depths of hell, circles, and he also meets poets, great Renaissance poets along the way, and yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't it like Italian literature?
Yes, absolutely. Italian literature. What else? What else do we know about it? It's important for a lot of reasons. One is, and I don't know that the Divine Comedy is typically framed this way, but it's also a kind of love story. You read the Inferno, right, which is a little bit less about love, right? A man's descent into hell. He's being led by his most favored artist, poet, Virgil. This is the man he wants to emulate, right? And he's leading him through the depths of hell. But when he gets to heaven, the woman who guides him is this ideal woman, the woman he's always loved, named Beatrice. And he's never quite attained her, right? He's never quite had her. Already is this sounding a little bit like, I mean, do you get the sense of longing and not obtaining, right? What I want to say about poetry, right, we've been talking about fiction and very concrete places and things. I think poetry is a feeling, it's an attitude. It doesn't necessarily take place in any time or space, right? It's a reflection, it can be many things. So think broadly about it. Let's look at the first stanza together, okay? So this section from the Inferno, it is said by a man who only talks to Dante because he thinks he'll never reach the surface again and report what he's seen, right? Doesn't that make sense? Most people do not go to hell and then get out, right? Yes. So he says here, if I thought my reply were meant for one who ever could return into the world, this flame would stir no more. And yet, since none, if what I hear is true, ever returned alive from this abyss, then without fear of facing infamy, I answer you. In other words, I'll answer your questions. There's no way you'll get to the top and tell all the living people what's going on down here. Is this a good start? The opening of this poem is set in hell, essentially, right? There's no descent. The speaker is already way down at the bottom. Can someone read the first stanza, starting with "Let us go then" and ending here? I have a reader? Yes, Victoria.
Let us go then, you and I, when the evening is spread out against the sky. Like a patient etherized upon a table, let us go, through certain half-deserted streets, the muttering retreats of restless nights and one-night cheap hotels, and sawdust restaurants with oyster shells. Streets that follow like a tedious argument of insidious intent, to lead you to an overwhelming question. Oh, do not ask, what is it? Let us go and make our visit.
Okay, thank you. So let's start out with keywords. Words that stand out to you. Maybe words you don't quite know, words you don't know the definition of. Yes, Sam?
Insidious?
Insidious. Everyone look up this word. Even if you think you know it, even if you have a general sense of it, yeah, take out your phones and look up the word insidious.
What is the definition of insidious?
Insidious means proceeding in a gradual, subtle way, but with harmful effects.
Ooh. Proceeding in a subtle, gradual way, but with harmful effects.
The movie makes so much more sense now.
Okay, so there was a horror film named Insidious. There's something more frightening about insidiousness than other kinds of fear, right? Why is that? It's subtle, right? You don't know it's coming, it's gradual, it's happening amongst us, we don't see it, and then all of a sudden, what was the second part of the definition? Harmful effects. Before we realize it. What are other words here that stand out to you? Yeah, Mitchell.
Sawdust restaurants. I don't know what that means.
Yeah, what does it mean? Sawdust restaurants. Yes. Yeah, it's exactly. Let me ask you, do you want to eat at a place like that?
It's cheap food and it's good. I'm eating there.
Okay, some of you want to eat in a restaurant like this one. What does it mean to eat in a dusty restaurant? It's kind of
Maybe like impoverished or something.
impoverished,
Yeah.
right? They can't hire people to clean up. Sawdust, it could also mean fake. Essentially, this isn't a real restaurant. So the words you gave me, insidious, right? Sawdust, restaurant, right? What else? What other words stand out? Etherized. What does etherized mean? Yeah.
So I'm guessing that's like the verb, I guess, of like ethereal being like the adjective. So like meaning kind of like, I guess like above like the like something. It's like unrealistic per se because it's so like abnormal. Like I think I've only heard it in something like very positive ways. You know what I mean?
So you're thinking of the word ethereal.
Oh.
That's a really interesting connect. That's a really
I'm
good
not thinking about
connection.
the same. I just kind of-
There's a relationship for sure. Let's look up the word etherized.
Isn't it like right when you're about to go under? They put you under and you're
That is one way. Yes. Look it up. Etherized.
Okay, you say.
Yeah.
like, what is the definition of etherized?
That's fine.
It's incompatible.
Etherize is a historical term. It means anesthetize a person or animal with ether.
So like the knockout.
Look up the word ether.
It's like chlor.
What is the meaning of ether?
A pleasant smelling, colorless, volatile liquid that is highly flammable. It is used as an anesthetic and as a solvent or intermediate in industrial processes. Do you want to hear the next one?
No.
No.
Thank you. So ether. What can ether be used for? You mentioned one use.
Yeah.
An anesthetic, right? Yeah, Mitch.
Bombs maybe?
Yes. Yes. Some kind of.
Flammable?
I think like killing somebody or like poisoning someone.
Yeah. So generally, it's thought of as an anesthetic or a sedative.
Yeah.
Why are we talking about sedation? You know, and what does this have to do with modern love? There's a clothing store in Providence called Modern Love, right? What is modern love? Is it sedation, right?
It's like that sexy, like 50 Shades of Grey kind of stuff.
Yeah. What other words? What's that? Sorry. You'll have to catch me up. What are the other words that stand out here? Tedious. Yes, that's a good word too. Another one?
Restless.
Ah, restless. Yep. I heard another. Muttering. Restless. Muttering. Okay, let's just look at the words you have here. Is there a general sense you have of, is there a feeling? Is there an attitude here? Is there a tone? And what is that tone?
Murderous tone.
Sneaky. Sneaky? Okay.
Dingy.
Dingy, sneaky. I'm glad you said sneaky because insidious is often defined using that word. Something harmful sneaks up on you. You don't see it coming. So dingy.
Insidious and authorized goes together, to be honest with you.
Ah. And how is that?
I just feel this way because insidious is like, you don't know what's coming and you're meaning harmful, but an authorized is also like a pleasant smelling, colorless. You know what I'm saying? So like, I bet they both have something to do like insidious.
Excellent point. Excellent point. So ether is rather insidious.
Yeah.
How many of you have been anesthetized for a procedure before? Yeah. Do you even remember when you fall asleep? Right? It happens so gradually. Mitchell, you had your hand up.
Oh, I was actually just going to say the same thing you did.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. So let's just look at the first few lines here. Let us go then, you and I, when the evening is spread out against the sky, like a patient etherized upon a table. How does the speaker see the evening, the world? What is his perspective?
Wait, can you read that again, please? I'm sorry.
How can the evening be like a patient ready and waiting for surgery? That's what he's saying, isn't he? Waiting for the darkness? What else? Philippe? I can see you thinking. Are there other words?
Panic though, like it's kind of like it could be like a calmness or like panic, like sometimes like before you like know you're going to sleep, you could be like stressed out and panicking, or you could be like calm and like anesthetized, like depending how you take it.
Could you say that a little louder for everyone? That's a great.
Just that like before you go into like anesthetize or whatever, you could also be in panic versus just being like calm and serene. You could just be like stressed out and panicking of what's going to happen next.
What's happening next? And is he alone?
No.
Let us go through certain half-deserted streets, the muttering retreats of restless nights in one-night cheap hotels and sawdust restaurants with oyster shells. Notice not oysters, oyster shells. What's occurred there? There are no oysters. Someone ate them all. Someone ate them all. You don't go to a restaurant, order oysters, and get shells. Streets that follow like a tedious argument. Is he enjoying his walk through this city?
No, like you stressed.
This is stressful. An overwhelming question, what is it? Oh, do not ask, what is it? Let us go and make our visit. This person, go ahead, Sam.
Weird.
You
want to know, just ask.
What are his feelings?
He's trying to hide something, it seems like.
He's trying to hide something? Yeah.
Is like,
he kind of like in the friend zone or something, because it seems like that's kind of what it is, because it's like it's there but it's empty.
Ah.
I want something a little more.
I like what you're saying. He is sort of, I think you're right. He's sort of in the friend zone with this other person, right? He's frustrated, he's stressed out, and this begins with an analogy to hell, right? He's already way in the depths. What I'd like you to do, I'm gonna assign you, all of you, a different stanza. I'd like you to go through, underline keywords, right? Talk about patterns, just as we did with these words, okay? Think about imagery, symbols. Is there a theme? Is there an attitude here? As you just identified, frustration, right? Frustration in a relationship. And think about how it fits in with the whole text. I'd like everyone to take notes because we're going to continue this next time. Okay. So we did passage 1. You have, let's see, how about this stanza on the bottom of 541 and then the next one? Right before in the room. Yes, that's your section. Okay. Let's see. Amanda, could you join these gentlemen?
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great. Okay. So you have in the room, the women come and go. And just ending at the bottom of that stanza. Go ahead.
Which part is it?
For the decisions?
Yeah. Okay.
Yep, great. Thanks. Let's see. Malik, could you join these gentlemen? And you have the 2 stanzas on the bottom of 542. Just these 2. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm sorry, what's the one?
Just these 2. Oh, those are mine. I need those, thanks. So just these 2 stanzas on the bottom?
Okay.
Yeah, great. Let's see. Oh yeah. Could you do the first 3 on the top of 543? Okay. We're gonna move over here. You'll do the passage in the middle of 543, just this middle section. Yep. If you could work on the passage at the bottom of 543.
543?
Yeah.
This whole.
This, starting with, and it would have been worth it? Yeah. Let's see, you are patiently waiting. Top of 544.
This from here to here?
Yep.
Yeah.
Just this, yeah. Okay, so, where do you sign? Yes, if you could just look at this middle portion. No, I am not Prince Hamlet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just right here?
Yep.
Yeah. I'm still reading it.
Like that's weird to me because it's like.
Does have any questions for me? Yeah.
Is he saying so? He's frustrated because people are looking at him in a different way, and this is all what he wants to be seen as, or like that he says he is seen as.
Right. So this is a great stanza because you're right. There's this. You get the sense he doesn't want to be seen in a certain way, right? Have you read Hamlet, or are you familiar with the story at all?
I never read it.
Yeah. Usually we think about Prince Hamlet as a character who's defined by his indecision. And his indecisiveness is what ruins him. Right. It's also, it's important to just think about the fact that he brings up a tragedy. right? It's almost as if he were to, if he referred to Romeo and Juliet, right? That wouldn't be, that wouldn't bode well, right? Yeah.
He says like,
Okay, I'd like you to just take another minute, finish up your notes, so that we can get started with the first couple of groups at the very least. We have about 10 minutes left. I'm sorry, I missed that.
Like, you know, when like to make someone like how like they always like put on a cloth and like really improve the mouth. What is that?
I think that is chloroform.
I was just making sure I was saying the right word because it like
No, we've all seen enough of those like crime fiction, mystery
I just didn't know.
type films that we should all know that. I thought of that too.
Because I was like saying it really like chloroform.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, are we about ready?
There's like 2 more minutes.
2 more minutes? I can do 1 more minute.
I can do that too.
Okay, great, thanks. All right, you had 2, right? Yeah. 2, yeah. Which is this kind of, isn't it a shift in tone a little bit from the first stanza?
Kind of, like it's still like murderous as they said. But it's confusing. It's very confusing because it's like time versus death and like the end of time and all this time. And
Okay, these are great comments. Let's get everyone together. All right, let's get together, everyone. We don't have that much time left. We're going to begin with group 2, who will talk about the second stanza. Talk to us about your impressions, how it contrasts or relates to the first stanza.
We said it was kind of similar to the first stanza because it still kind of has like a murderous tone because it talks about like the yellow smoke that like rubbed its muzzle, kind of like how you like over your mouth and like hurt someone. But then it's also different because it has a repetition of time, like saying there will be time, and time for everything, but then it says time for 100 indecisions. So it's kind of saying like in the 2 different things of like murder is like ending your time and like you're dead, but you have all this time in the world. So it's like very contradictory. And then we related it to like the whole passage because it's like for 100 indecisions, so like throughout the whole entire thing he was very like indecisive of like what to do or like what he's going to like how to react in life. Like I remember at one point he talks about like, oh, when I'm old will I do this or like something like that. So yeah.
Questioning,
Yeah.
right?
It like highlights that people will question a lot throughout the whole.
Doubt.
Yeah, like questioning his own motives and other people's.
Is this a century of questioning? And I think you said awkward too.
Yeah.
We use that word to describe Gabriel Conroy. Is this the century of awkward love?
Yeah.
A little bit. There's a continued theme going on here. So what key words?
We did like time, and then like in the same sentence it says murder and create, so like those are contradicting as well. And then like muzzle, yellow smoke, lingered. And then it says like sudden leap.
So you kind of skip right down, I think we skip right down to theme or attitude, right? Is there, and you already talked about how it fits in with the whole text, right? It's this continuation, but slightly more indecisive, less decisive. Is there an attitude here?
I would say like his own attitude would be kind of like, I don't know, like I kind of hope I don't know, maybe kind of hopeful because like how he keeps on saying he has a whole bunch of time, like time for you and time for me. So he's like saying like he has all the time to like do all these different like visions and revisions and I don't know, but then it's also yellow smoke.
So there's some confusion for him too, right? I have all this time, and yet I can't make up my mind. Yeah, absolute confusion. Any other comments for these passages? We can come back to you too. Feel free to chime in. Thank you. Group 3?
So this was him, he kept questioning himself. He wonders, do I dare? Do I dare? Repeated maybe 3 times in the entire thing. So this kind of shows how he's moving on from his indecisiveness, I guess.
The attitude in this stanza would definitely be regret because it's talking a lot about, it goes along with that last one's indecisiveness. It's talking about how time is passing and how he's really not doing anything. The last 2 lines say there's time for decisions and revisions, which minute will reverse. And it's more of saying like he's going to put it off to the next minute and just keeps doing that. It never ends up getting to it, so he keeps regretting.
So procrastination leads to regret. Is that also a 20th century attitude? I don't know. Or more of the same? Just give us some key words that stood out to you.
Time, assertive,
Bald spot, thin.
Oh, okay. Sorry, if we could just hold on so we could hear. Bald spot. What does this bald spot indicate?
Aging.
Aging. Reverse, revisions.
Some of like being regretful maybe.
Yes. Are these things really possible? Reverse and revision. Are they possible for you? This is written by a college student. Is reversal possible?
Actually, no.
Actually, no. What about revision?
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe. Which is what some of you said about Gabriel Conroy. Maybe revision is possible, but probably not reversal. Yeah. Next time, we're going to pick up with group 3 and continue through the passages. As I said, read Mrs. Dalloway. Thank you so much for today. I will see you next week.